At 2:46 in the afternoon on March 11, 2011, the ground beneath Japan moved. A 9.1 magnitude scale earthquake, the most powerful ever recorded in Japanese history, struck 70 kilometers off the Pacific coast. It lasted, dreading 6 minutes. Buildings swayed, roads cracked. The shaking was felt across the entire country. Japan had prepared for earthquakes. The buildings held. The people knew what to do. The earthquake on its own was survival. What came next was not. The earthquake triggered a series of tsunami waves traveling at 800 kilometers per hour. That is faster than a commercial airline. When they reached the coast, some walls of water rose over 40 meters high. Entire towns were erased in under 10 minutes. Nearly 16,000 people were killed. On that same coastline, standing behind the protective seawall, was the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. The seawall was 5.7 meters high. The wave was 14 meters. Fukushima Daiichi was operated by TEPCO, the Tokyo Electric Power Company. 6 reactors, operating since 1971. Decades of safety reports, inspections, and certifications. What the public did not know was that TEPCO had falsified safety records and repeatedly blocked requests to upgrade the plant's tsunami defenses. A 2008 internal report warned that a wave over 10 meters could overwhelm the facility. Nothing was done. When the tsunami hit, it knocked out the external power grid. The emergency diesel generators, designed to keep the reactors cool, were located in the basement. The basement flooded within minutes. The generators failed. Without power, the cooling system stopped. The fuel rods in reactors 1, 2, and 3 began to overheat. TEPCO engineers watched their control panels go dark. They had no cooling and no plan for what came next. Within hours, the fuel rods in reactor 1 began to melt. By the following day, reactors 2 and 3 had followed. 3 simultaneous nuclear meltdowns at a single facility. The International Atomic Energy Agency rated Fukushima at level 7 on the nuclear disaster scale, the same level as Chernobyl. As the cores melted, they produced massive amounts of hydrogen gas. On March 12, Reactor 1 exploded. On March 14, Reactor 3 followed. On March 15th, the Reactor 2 was breached, and Reactor 4, which was not even operating, exploded through a shared ventilation system. 4 explosions. 4 days. The plant was in pieces. Radioactive materials were released directly into the air. As the plant deteriorated, the most non-essential workers were evacuated. A small group remained. The journalists called them Fukushima 50, though the real number was closer to 70. They worked in near darkness, in high radiation environments, without adequate protection. They pumped seawater into the reactors by hand. They vented steam manually. They knew the doses they were receiving. Most stayed anyway. The Japanese government declared a 20-kilometer exclusion zone. Then they extended it. Then they extended it again. Over 154,000 people were evacuated from their homes. Many left in the middle of the night with no time to gather their belongings. Some were given 15 minutes. Farmers released livestock they could not take. Hospital patients died during emergency transfers. Entire towns emptied overnight. Most have never been resettled. Japan had a system called SPEEDI, a computer model that predicted where radioactive fallout would travel based on wind directions. Within hours of the explosion, the computer was generating detailed contamination maps. The government did not release them for 5 days. In that time, some evacuation routes directed people directly into the highest contamination zones. Families who believed they were safe had walked straight into the fallout. Highly radioactive water from the flooded reactor basements began leaking into Pacific Ocean. TEPCO tried to stop it with sandbags, concrete and chemical sealants. Nothing helped. For months, contaminated groundwater continued flowing into the sea. In 2023, 12 years after the disaster, Japan began releasing treated radioactive water into the ocean, triggering international protest from neighboring nations. In 2012, an independent investigation commissioned by a Japanese parliament concluded that the Fukushima disaster was, in their exact words, a profoundly man-made disaster. The earthquake did not destroy the plant. The tsunami did not destroy it. A decades-long culture of deception, ignored warnings, and blocked safety upgrades did. TEPCO executives were indicted. After years of legal proceedings, all were acquitted. None was held accountable. The estimated total cost of Fukushima disaster exceeded $200 billion. The decommissioning of the destroyed reactors is the most complex nuclear engineering project in history. Workers are still inside the site today. The final removal of melted fuel, which fused with reactor concrete as temperatures exceeded 2000 degrees, has not begun yet. The expected completion date is 2051 at minimum. Japan's nuclear disaster was not caused by the worst earthquake in the recorded history. It was caused by paperwork that was never filed, a seawall that was never raised, and a company that chose cost over safety year after year until the sea made that choice for them. 3 melted reactor cores still sitting on the ocean shore of their own containment vessels, unreachable, untouched, still too radioactive to approach. The cleanup will not be finished until year 2051 if everything goes according to the plan.